Ghostbusters, Yuletide Spirits. It's Christmas time and the entire city of New York is decorated for the holiday season. However, the citizens of this city seem to be losing the Christmas spirit. We are then shown the dimly lit interior of Ray's occult books, where renowned Ghostbuster, Dr. Raymond Stantz, is just about to close up until four beautiful women enter the store. They are Agatha, Theodora, Morgana, and Selena, four witches who are frequent customers of Ray's occult books. Agatha, leader of the coven, is seeking a spell book. Ray hands her one such a book. In the middle of Central Park, Agatha, Theodora, Morgana, and Selena sit around a circle and chant spells from the book in the hope to restore the Yuletide spirit that seems to be diminishing from the citizens of New York. Agatha comes across a page in the book that says, "Evocation." Taking a chance, the witches start to recite the words found in this page. A cold wind blows out the candles. The earth begins to shake, slow at first, and then it begins to pick up speed. Suddenly, from under the earth emerges Krampus, the Christmas demon. As chaos begins to reign, Agatha, Theodora, Morgana, and Selena seek the help of the Ghostbusters team. The Ghostbusters consist of the aforementioned Dr. Ray Stantz, Dr. Peter Venkman, the wisecracking, charismatic leader of the Ghostbusters, Dr. Winston Zeddemore, the pragmatic and level-headed member, Janine Melnitz, the no-nonsense receptionist, Callie Spengler, the daughter of the late Dr. Egon Spengler, her husband Gary Gruberson, her two children, Trevor and Phoebe, podcast, Phoebe's best friend and podcaster, Lars Pinfield, the quirky and eccentric equipment and gadget maker, and Lucky Domingo, Trevor's girlfriend. Theodora has her doubts that the Ghostbusters could actually solve the problem. She and Agatha have heated arguments, only for Selena to quell the conflict. Eventually, they meet with the entire team of Ghostbusters and describe what happened. Agatha hands Ray a copy of the spellbook and points out the page titled Evocation. Ray says that this page shouldn't be in this book. He pulls out his copy and shows that his copy doesn't have that page. Theodora thinks it could be an error, but Ray doesn't seem to think so, because if they were, paranormal events would be occurring throughout the country, and that hadn't happened with no other customer who bought the book from him or for any other retailer who sold it. Theodora scoffs at this assumption, prompting yet another argument with Agatha. Morgana can't take the constant bickering and leaves them. Morgana is eventually taken captive by Krampus, who believes she could be useful in his plot to make this a Christmas that New York will never forget, since she enjoys causing havoc with her powers. Morgana refuses at first, but Krampus tells her that it's not a request. All around the city, chaos unfolds. Two paranormal occurrences crop up in two different locations. One is a disturbance taking place at Radio City Music Hall, where a performance of Christmas Spectacular, starring the Radio City Rockettes, is disrupted by a horde of ghosts. The other is a paranormal disturbance at FAO Schwartz, where a bunch of toys and decorations are coming to life and causing chaos. So the Ghostbusters decide to split into two groups. Ray, Peter, and Winston would head to Radio City Music Hall, and the Spenglers, Gruberson, Podcast, and Lucky would head to FAO Schwartz. Ray, Peter, and Winston take the Ecto-1 to Radio City Music Hall, and the Spenglers, Gruberson, Lucky, and Podcast take the Ecto-Z to FAO Schwartz. We have two action sequences of ghost-busting happening simultaneously but in two separate locations. Intercutting throughout the sequence, we cut back and forth from one location to the next. A group of perverted poltergeists, barely a Class 5 hassling the Rockettes, is the target at Radio City. While at FAO Schwartz, toys, action figures, teddy bears, dolls, and decorations have come to life and start causing chaos. As one group of Ghostbusters located at Radio City are able to trap their ghosts and Krampus makes his presence, the other group located at FAO Schwartz search to find the source of the disturbance and are shocked to see Morgana, one of the witches, alongside Agatha, Theodora, and Selena as the one causing it all. Phoebe asks why she's doing this, but all Morgana says is that it's just all in good fun. Her speech is intercut with Krampus giving his supervillain speech about what his plans are for the city. Once it finishes, they both vanish. The next day, Christmas Eve, back at Ghostbusters headquarters, the Ghostbusters break the bad news that Morgana has joined Krampus in his evil plot. Selena then scolds both Agatha and Theodora that they are the reason why she walked out on them, because Agatha and Theodora were always at each other's throats. It seems like they have no hope of stopping them until a familiar voice enters the headquarters. It's their former client, Louis Tully, asking if he could be of assistance. Ray asks him what he's doing here. Louis tells Ray that Peter had emailed him about the situation and thought he could use a little help. They go into the story of Krampus and that he was the evil version of Santa Claus who punishes naughty children instead of rewarding them. Since the Yuletide spirit is somewhat diminished, Krampus used it to his advantage and wanted to dupe anyone foolish enough to evoke him. Theodora then pieces together that Krampus was the one who added the false page to the spellbook and that he used them as a way to set things in motion. Ray also concludes that since they summoned him, they're the ones who have to destroy him. It requires all 4 of the witches to do this. This has become more difficult seeing that Morgana is aiding Krampus. Phoebe then has an idea of where Krampus would strike next. The one place where the Yuletide spirit resonates more than any place in the city. Rockefeller Center. In front of the gigantic Christmas tree at Rockefeller Plaza, Krampus and Morgana are about to unleash more hell until the Ghostbusters, Agatha, Theodora, and Selena arrive. Krampus tells Morgana to welcome our guests. She casts a spell, causing the displays in the Saks Fifth Avenue window to come to life and attack the Ghostbusters. While this is happening, Agatha, Theodora, and Selena plead with Morgana to come back to them. Not only does Morgana refuse outright, but casts a spell on the Christmas tree and it comes to life and becomes a giant monster and attacks them. Agatha once again makes an impassioned, tearful appeal to Morgana about how sorry she is for quarreling with Theodora and about how much she loves her like she was her own sister and she just wants her sister back. A tear falls from Morgana's eye. Slowly but surely she begins to reflect on her actions, and she then takes Agatha's hand. Krampus, now furious at this turn of events, decides to up the ante. With all 4 witches back together, they now stand a chance to help the Ghostbusters stop Krampus once and for all. Now all eyes are on Krampus. As the witches begin their chanting, the Ghostbusters fire their proton streams at Krampus. Then out of nowhere, another proton stream hits Krampus. It's Louis Tully. Krampus starts writhing in anger and agony. All the inanimate objects begin to fall over, and the Christmas tree begins to revert back to its original state. With a bright flash of light, Krampus is finally destroyed. All falls quiet. Agatha, Theodora, and Selena embrace Morgana. Agatha thanks the Ghostbusters. Theodora apologizes to the Ghostbusters for doubting them. Ray reassures her that at the end of the day, it was their faith in the Ghostbusters' science and technology that were able to defeat evil, and that sometimes we do need the best of both worlds. They all look at the gigantic Christmas tree, which before was attacking them, but is now back to its old self, and they admire its beauty, and suddenly it begins to snow. Peter asks what were the odds of that happening at a time like this. Back at Ghostbusters headquarters, the Ghostbusters and the 4 witches share a celebratory drink in the spirit of the holiday season. Peter walks over to the refrigerator and opens it and finds Slimer, the onion head ghost, pigging out while wearing a Santa Claus hat. He looks and sees Peter looking annoyed. Slimer gets scared and flies toward the screen. The end.